I came across a very common case the other day where there's someone who all of a sudden knew that there was a ghost or something wrong in their house. They watched one or two of the videos on here and asked for some help. And sometimes they had a ghost in the house, which was one of their relatives who didn't want to move on. And there are many reasons that they don't want to move on. So this particular gentleman in the house who didn't want to leave, he had built many things there, he had done a lot. But the main reason he didn't want to believe is there were some people during his life when he was here that he fell out with, and they've moved on to the other side. And so in a slightly confused state, he didn't want to move on because he didn't want to meet them. And you think, can it be that simple? But it can be. And you have free will, so you don't move on unless you want to move on. Now, what people need to understand, and what I explained to him in that situation, is when you move on to the other side, the chances are anybody you've fallen out with will have changed. They will have looked into a mirror. So for example, if there's someone who hasn't been very nice on the earth plane, when they go to the other side, eventually they'll realize the mistakes they've made. I say eventually, it can be very quickly, because they look back at the earth plane, they see their entire life, it's all recorded, and they realize who they actually are. And time after time, when you're doing clairvoyance, people come back and say sorry. People who haven't done much wrong, but perhaps didn't tell them that they loved them enough or often enough. And they say sorry. So this is the standard thing that takes back. So with this gentleman, I explained that to him who didn't want to leave. I opened the door. This is what I do with all these situations. People came back, and his mother came back, was one of the ladies, and explained to him that all the things he did on the earth plane, as in building this, that and the other, he could do on the other side. And also the people that he was worried about seeing, some of them came back and said, sorry, we shouldn't have done that. So then he wasn't worried about them because he'd realized they had progressed, realized they weren't going to have a go at him when he passed over the other side because they didn't get hit on the earth plane. And that he'd be able to do all sorts of things over there. So he had been in this house for a few years. Then once he was shown how beautiful it was on the other side, once he'd listened to people like his mother who he trusted and other people saying sorry, all of a sudden his mind shifted to the point, actually I could move on, it's okay, there's nothing to worry about. And then I saw him leave and he went to the other side and there's nobody else in that house anymore. So this is very common for people not to move on. They have some understanding of life after death, and a lot of people, they know they've done something wrong and they may think it's worse than what it is, and that's why they hesitate on moving on. And even with some of the evil spirits that I've dealt with, some of them have done horrible things on the earth plane, and they are aware often they think they're going to get judged. It doesn't work like that. They will have to recover by learning to help other people. But because of how they acted here, they don't want to move on. And some of them have to be helped to move on because they don't choose to move on. So this is often the case why nice people can be confused and don't want to move on because they don't want to meet some of the people they knew on the earth plane that weren't very nice to them. So this is one of the cases, but many cases like this, but they can be moved on. You create a situation and then it's their own free will to move on. And when they choose to move on, they will go and they won't come back again. Once they see how beautiful it is on the other side and meet all their loved ones and everything else, I've never come across a case ever in decades of someone ever coming back. It won't happen. Thank you for listening.